know at this point that there are lots of things about Battlefield 1 that separate it from its predecessors. Things that are considered good and things that are considered bad. Now, one of those points that I've had for a while is an inherent lack of team play. Its importance seemed to be placed on the back burner during the development of the game, and now we're only just starting to see DICE place some emphasis back on it. The recently introduced Conquest Flag score changes, they now benefit players who defend points. The team gets a Conquest control bonus, whether you've been defending it or not, and the potential of soldier customizations returning soon with the release of the new progression system dropping with In the Name of the Tsar. But there's something else that I really miss from previous games. That's a dedicated engineer class. In Battlefield 1, the engineer class was dissolved into lots of other little bits and slotted into various classes. DICE introduced dedicated pilot and tanker classes, which are automatically chosen when you spawn into a plane or a tank. These classes come equipped with the repair tool, so a player can activate the quick repair function, which again was added to the game and it wasn't in previous titles. The support class was also given the repair tool as a soldier on the ground that could assist vehicles if they were in trouble. Now, while these seem like fairly straightforward changes, what they did in actuality was remove the inherent team play functions of the engineer class, and they spread them across the other classes, and of course, that dilutes their impact. So for example, the support class sounds like a perfect place for the repair tool. You can support other vehicles by bringing them back up and allowing them to move again. In fact, what it did was reduce the repair tool's use to an all-time low as other gadgets in the class took priority. Ammo pouches and ammo crates are almost essential, and they come in handy far more often than a repair tool does. There could be 31 other players on your team, all firing their guns at the same time, and of course they're going to need more ammo, compared to a repair tool that may only come in useful a few times every round. And then of course you've got the support's explosive gadgets, which people like to equip so they can damage enemy vehicles. The grenade crossbow and the limpet, both of them come into use a little bit more frequently than a repair tool will. You can destroy cover with them, and you can kill infantry players as well as damaging vehicles. So the repair tool is a little bit left out. Recently, DICE did add the ability for the repair tool to repair stationary weapons, like field guns and AA cannons, so there's a little bit of appeal that has been restored to the gadget. And secondly, you've now got dedicated classes that have the repair tool equipped, who drive the vehicles that you used to help repair in previous games. The tanker and the pilot can quick repair their vehicles while staying inside in the driver's seat for safety. You can of course jump out of your plane whilst it's on the ground or out of the tank so that you can repair it, and it does repair faster, I might add, but why leave the safety of your vehicle when you don't have to? With these two classes, who are dedicated to vehicles anyway, have access to the repair tool, what's the point of the support class running with it as well? Both the pilot and the tanker classes have transformed vehicles from what used to be huge team play aspects of previous Battlefield games into these lone wolf playstyle machines where you almost need no help from other friendly players to stay alive and dominate. How often do we see tankers sitting at the top of the scoreboard going 50-0? That's because they're simply playing on their own, repairing on their own, and not really engaging with the rest of their team. The engineer class used to be the only class who could repair vehicles in previous Battlefield titles, and as I've said before, it was a great team play class, as some of the larger effects on the battle, such as tanks, needed to have an engineer close by to really succeed. It was often much harder to go on the same kind of assaults with tanks in previous games compared to Battlefield 1. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, because there are some extremely skilled players out there who could do a lot of work with those tanks, but overall the reliance on the engineer class was heavy enough that this team play, helping out the tank driver, keeping them healed up, and keeping them moving, that was a big part of the game. In Battlefield 1, that just simply doesn't happen. Of course, the option is there for that team play to occur. The support class does have access to the repair tool, but the whole class responsible for helping vehicles was replaced by this cheap, quick repair function, and it totally removed any sense that the team were really playing together and helping each other out. It might sound a bit silly, but a big part of older Battlefield titles was this sense of community. Despite you not knowing most of the people you were in the server with, you could only see their names in the scoreboard, you didn't know who they were in real life, certain actions would still give you a sense that you were a part of a big team, as opposed to a single member fighting on your own. Battlefield 1 has done more for the lone wolf attitude of the franchise than it has for getting people to play together, and that is a massive shame. There are, of course, other actions within Battlefield 1 that still classify as team play, with the medic class being perhaps the other truly focused team play class on offer. They're responsible for keeping friendlies healed up and in the fight all the time, and bringing them back from the kill cam if they do get killed. The difference between the medic and the engineer, however, is that the medic survived and is still in the game. Their importance has been degraded for sure. The introduction of the skip to spawn screen bar made sure of that, but I personally still get revived as regularly as I did in previous Battlefield games, or perhaps it's as infrequently as I did in previous games. I think people forget that medics were just as bad for not reviving people back then as they are today. And with all that in mind about the engineer class and the medic not being as important as they used to be, I have a proposal to make to you guys, and I'd love your honest feedback down in the comments section. In the next Battlefield title, coming out in 2018, because a change like this isn't going to happen now in Battlefield 1, it had changed the gameplay dynamic too much, and people have already settled into this way of playing, but the next game could have 5 dedicated infantry classes: Assault, Medic, Engineer, Support, and Scout. No dedicated vehicle classes, like the Tanker and Pilot. Get rid of those, and bring back the true Engineer class that I think Battlefield really needs. Now, for this scenario, I'm going to assume a modern setting for Battlefield 2018. I think it's just easier to explain, but I've got no information that that is the case, so don't go quoting me on Reddit that I know what the setting for the next Battlefield game is, but I will apply it to this scenario. The Assault class will be equipped with assault rifles and grenade launchers. These guys are the frontline fighters. They get stuck in and fighting straight away. The Medic class would have semi-automatic rifles and access to the medkits, both the crate and the pouches if they wanted to include them, and of course the defib device, just as they are now in Battlefield 1. I think the Medic class is almost perfect in the role they've got set up. The Engineer class, the brand new class coming back into the Battlefield franchise, would have access to carbines, giving them medium range, and shotguns for close range, and of course they hold the repair tool and RPGs, separately for repairing and damaging vehicles. The Support class would get his C4 back, yay, and along with the ammo crates, and of course the Scout remains as he is now with bolt action rifles and recon gadgets. How does that sound to you guys? Battlefield 2018 bringing back the Engineer class as a dedicated healer of vehicles and a dealer of damage, and if you spawn into the driver's seat of a vehicle, you could choose any of the classes from those 5, instead of being limited to the Tanker or the Pilot role. Keeping the Assault class and their rifles separate from the extremely powerful medkit and the revive tool is important. We've had that issue in the past with Battlefield. I think it was great that DICE split the Assault class into Assault and Medic, and really, we need to make sure that the Medic, Support and Scout don't really change too much from what they are in Battlefield 1 right now, but the Support gets his C4 back, which is what everyone wants, and in Battlefield 1 for some reason, the Assault got the dynamite. No idea why the Assault got so many explosive gadgets. Let me know what you think about that down below in the comments about a 5-class setup for the next Battlefield game. But thanks very much for watching. This was more of a personal video today because I'd love to see some proper team play functions added back into the Battlefield franchise. I think Battlefield 1 strayed too far down the path towards an ego shooter, and I think we need to reel the franchise back in a little bit. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.